Will the audience please remain standing for the invocation to be given by Charlie Carey, retired professor of mathematics. And gentlemen, please join me in removing your caps.
Shall we pray? Dear Heavenly Father, you have blessed us with this day of joy and celebration. Confirm this joy with a lively sense of your presence, both now and in the days ahead. We thank you for these graduates, their loving and supportive families, and friends who have held them in their prayers each day. For our faculty, staff, and administration, and the commitment, passion, and wisdom of so many, we are grateful, Almighty God. May you continue to guide Spring Arbor University, and we will praise you for it. Amen.
You may be seated. On behalf of the Spring Arbor University Board of Trustees, the administration, faculty, and staff, it is indeed my sincere pleasure to welcome the parents, the family, and friends of the class of 2018, and in particular, the students graduating here in the class of 2018. A very special welcome to you. Today we're graduating, yes, give them a round of applause. Today we're graduating a little more than 600 students. And this morning is our traditional campus undergraduate ceremony. This afternoon we will graduate students from our graduate and our professional studies and global programs. And at this time, I'd like to recognize the members of the Spring Arbor University Board of Trustees, vice presidents, deans, and faculty that are present with us today. Would you please stand and be recognized? Students, thank them for their investment in you. Today represents the culmination of years of preparation and work, and indeed, congratulations are in order. But my encouragement to you, or my perspective for you in the midst of this, is to not look at this as a conclusion, but a beginning, a commissioning in many ways. As we received you in 4 years ago, we invited you into a community of learners. And we said, upon your graduation, we want to send you out as critical participants in a contemporary world. And so today, that is what we are doing with you. The way that we engaged you hopefully helped you understand the difference between being a person of knowledge and being a person of wisdom. We didn't want you just to merely be smart or to have academic credentials, but to have an understanding of how you could use all that has gone into your preparation to impact the world for Christ and for his kingdom, to serve as ambassadors of Christ, ministers of redemption and reconciliation, and critical participants in a contemporary world. And so today we celebrate with you your achievements. We have the opportunity also to hear from one of your fellow graduates, Leah Rose. Leah, come on, make your way. After she shares a reflection of her time, we'll be led in a congregational hymn that will be led by Dr. Bruce Brown. Leah.
When I was 10, my grandparents took my family and I to the foot of the Spring Arbor University clock tower to proudly show us the engraved bricks that they had bought in our honor. There was one for each member of our family. When I was 10, I had no idea I ended up at this university one day as a student, though my grandparents and my father had paved the way for me. When I was 10, I had no idea that I'd sit by that brick at the foot of the clock tower through all the ups and downs of college, to journal, or to pray, or to simply be alone. When I was 10, I had no idea how much Spring Arbor University would mean to me one day. When I was 10, I didn't know that time would go by so quickly. When I was 10, I could barely imagine what college would be like, much less imagine this moment. But alas, here I am, speaking at my college commencement ceremony for Spring Arbor University. Just a few short weeks ago, I had one of those emotional nights where I found myself sitting next to that brick at the foot of the clock tower. I was thinking and praying and dwelling on all the ending that this is and the emotions that come with it. And I looked around the clock tower and realized that I'd never actually read all the plaques and inscriptions that were on it. So I figured that now was as good a time as any. After I finished reading the plaques in the clock tower, I happened to glance to my left and I noticed that great big rock that sits in the Circle Drive in front of the music building and next to the art gallery. Before I knew it, I was on a scavenger hunt all over campus to read all the plaques and look at all the monuments that I had never had before. So first was the clock tower. And as I mentioned, I read everything that was inside, but the thing that stuck out most to me was our concept. And in case you're not familiar, I'll remind you, it reads, Spring Arbor University is a community of learners distinguished by our lifelong involvement in the study and application of the liberal arts, total commitment to Jesus Christ as the perspective for learning, and critical participation in the contemporary world. This is a concept that's been recited to us over and over and over throughout our 4 years here. But it was just this year that I've realized how perfect a statement it is for this great university. Most companies, organizations, and institutions have mission statements, but having one doesn't make you great. Living by it does. Spring Arbor University does just that. The next stop on my scavenger hunt was that rock, as I mentioned, where I learned about our founder's story, E.P. Hart. He and his wife, Maddie, arrived back in the 1860s on a cold, snowy night from a train. There was no one to greet them, and they had about a mile to walk in the snow. I thought about how lonely and how tough and how scary that new beginning must have been. But then I thought about the many lives that have been altered in the last 145 years of E.P. Hart's formational influence. The next stop was the Jesus Reactor. It sits between Ormston and Muffet Hall, and it was built to commemorate our 100th anniversary as a university, or to commemorate 100 years of sending out students. On one side, there's the Eastern Hemisphere. On the other, the Western. It reminds me that the world is so much bigger than Spring Arbor University. There's a plaque at the bottom of it that says, proud of the past and confident in the future. Finally, the last thing I stopped at was the globe in front of Lowell Hall. It's a large structure that has a lot of different verses on it, but the one that stuck out to me most was Matthew 28:19, also known as the Great Commission. It says, go therefore and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit. I've gone here for 4 years, and I've walked past all of these things probably hundreds of times. But on this night, it was as if I was noticing them for the first time. When I got to the end of my spontaneous scavenger hunt, it all hit me, and I fell apart. It all hit me, and it all clicked, because I realized that we were never meant to stay. This entire year, and especially this semester, I've struggled to grasp and accept this idea. I was having a hard time accepting and trusting that there's good beyond this place, because this place has been so good to me. We've all been stretched and challenged and strengthened, and I know that we've all grown tremendously here. But everything we've done here, all the classes we've taken, the chapel services we've attended, the lessons we've learned, the teachers who have molded us, the relationships we've formed, they're all things that have been preparing us to leave. It's an intrinsic quality of SAU, and it's in everything Spring Arbor University does, even in the campus architecture, as I learned a few short weeks ago. We're meant to leave this place, to go out and impact the world, to critically participate, as the concept engraved on our clock tower tells us. We're meant to take chances and be bold, as our founder, E.P. Hart, modeled, and as is commemorated on the Great Rock in the Circle Drive. We're meant to be proud of the past, but confident in the future, as we see on the Jesus Reactor. And we're meant to live out the Great Commission that's not only in the Bible, but also on one of these famous campus monuments, the globe in front of Lowell Hall. So today, as you leave, I know it's uncomfortable and sad and hard, but you're supposed to be leaving. It's why we came to this great place, so that one day, today, we could leave ready and equipped to change the world. So go and do just that. Let the next part of our journey commence. Thank you.
The great songs of our faith connect us with the generations that have come before and the things they learned that we should never forget. The writer of To God Be the Glory, the words, Fanny Crosby was blind from shortly after birth. She went on to write literally thousands of songs. She became a great speaker and a champion of what we would call today shelters for the homeless. She wrote so many great songs that the hymn writers, hymn book publishers would make her use a pseudonym so her name wasn't in there too often. Please stand as we sing To God Be the Glory. To God be the glory, great things he hath done. So loved he the world that he gave us his Son, who yielded his life an atonement for sin, and opened that all may go in. Praise the Lord, praise the Lord, let the earth hear his voice. Praise the Lord, let the people rejoice. Oh, come to the Father through Jesus the Son, and give him the glory, great things he hath done. Oh, redemption, the purchase of blood, to every believer the promise of God, the vilest offender who truly believes, that moment from Jesus a pardon receives. Praise the Lord, let the earth hear his voice. Praise the Lord, let the people rejoice. Oh, come to the Father through Jesus the Son, and give him the glory, great things he hath done. Great things he hath taught us, great things he hath done, and great our rejoicing through Jesus the Son. But pure, higher, and great earth hear his voice. Praise the Lord, praise the Lord. Let the people rejoice. Oh, come to the Father through Jesus the Son, and give him the glory. Great things he hath done. Very good. Please be seated.
Maybe we should practice that in chapel for the next graduation. I'm excited about our commencement speaker and the message that he'll bring forward to you today, the challenge and the encouragement. A few things about Abdu Murray. You'll notice that he's 6'8", a former Division I basketball player who had a chance to play a little bit with the Fab Five from Michigan before he blew out his knee. He'd tell you in a humble way that Chris Webber could whip him pretty good, but I'm sure he played well against them. He holds his Bachelor of Arts in Psychology from the University of Michigan, earned his Juris Doctor also from University of Michigan Law School, and is indeed a renowned lawyer. He uses his unique skills as a lawyer to investigate and probe the Christian faith, which led him to convert from the Muslim faith multiple years ago. And this 9-year investigation of the Bible ended up in him becoming a strong ambassador and apologist for the Christian faith. Abdu now speaks to international audiences and in debates and dialogues about faith in Christ, along with other apologists in the Ravi Zacharias International Ministries. He's the author of a brand new book that we are going to be giving to all of our Board of Trustees and faculty and staff in the coming days, called Saving Truth. Please join me in welcoming our 2018 commencement speaker, Abdu Murray.
Well, thank you very much for the, I'm going to adjust that a little bit. That's part of the 6'8" thing. Thank you so much for the honor of speaking here, Dr. Ellis and all the faculty, distinguished faculty, honored guests, family and friends, deserving students. Thank you so much for the honor of being here and sharing this simultaneously. It's a paradoxical thing you're doing today because it's austere, but it's also joyous and celebratory. And so there's that sense of revelry, but also that sense of austerity that makes you wear funny hats and regalia that commemorates essentially what is going to be one of the most memorable things that you're going to do in your life. But there's a paradox to the very word commencement, and Leah spoke so beautifully about the idea of ending and commencing. I always found it interesting that commencement is the last thing you do at college. And it's about the beginnings, not about the endings. And oftentimes you'll hear speeches about, the things you had done and the lives you had led and the things you had learned and all that. And I don't need to tell you that because you did it for 4 years. We are commencing, though, on something. What I want to share with you this morning, very, very briefly, because I realize that there's a reality to these ceremonies, is that you might remember something I say. You might remember the tone in which I say it, but what you're going to remember is the day, everything following what I say. Except the fact that if I take too long, you might remember that guy took too long. So my goal is to not do that. My goal is to give you something of an encouragement, but also a sobriety about the world you're going to commence into adulthood and also into, you're already adults, but also into the world of professionalism, whether it's in your graduate studies, whether it's in your professional pursuits, whether it's whatever you might be doing, serving in the military, whatever it might be. There's a lot to commence, and the world is about to commence upon you. We're living in a post-truth society. We're no longer living in a postmodern society. We're living in a post-truth society, and I'll get to that in a second. But as I think about the world you're inheriting, the things you're going to be doing, the things you're going to be commencing, the world is waiting for you to leave this building, and it's got plans for you. It reminds me of something that happened to me a while back. I was doing an international speaking trip. I speak a lot internationally, and in this particular trip, I was going to Canada. And I was going to Ontario, Canada, so I got the pleasure of driving because I'm from around here. Now, normally I go through Sarnia or I go through the Ambassador Bridge or the Detroit-Windsor Tunnel, but in this particular instance, the town I was going to was a place called Wallaceburg in Ontario, and it was a big open-air tent meeting where I was going to do some gospel preaching there to a mixed crowd of Christians and non-Christians alike. Because it was in Wallaceburg, I had to cross the Detroit River area at a town called Algonac. You may be familiar. And in order to get to that area, you have to go on a car ferry. Now, if you're from the Great Lakes State, and my guess is most of you are, when you think car ferry, you think this big boat, this big ship-like thing that can take 20, 30, 40 cars. This was not one of those car ferries. This car ferry was this rickety, paint-peeling white contraption that could hold 2 cars maximum. And when I got onto this thing, I'm telling you, I was convinced I was going to be pulled across this river, sort of Lord of the Rings style, you know, with the rope. And I thought to myself, this is not going to go well. But I am nervous when I travel because I'm terrible with directions, horrible with directions. I can get lost in my own backyard. So I always look down at my GPS to constantly check that I'm going the right place, especially when I'm going over internationally. So just as the guy said, stay in your car. Don't get out of the car because it's a short trip. Don't get out of your car. And it was blazing hot outside, so I obliged him. At the moment I looked at my GPS, that's exactly when we left the dock. So I didn't see us leave the dock. But I also, because I was inside the car, the mass of the car and the suspension absorbed the energy of us leaving the dock, so I didn't feel us leave the dock. Do you get it? I didn't see it, I didn't feel it. So when I looked up from my GPS, I had that vertigo you have, where you've been at the intersection and you're sitting next to a bus, and the bus moves forward and you're not quite sure if you're going backward. And what do you do at that particular moment? To get away from the panic and the vertigo and the nausea is you look for a fixed point of reference. You look for a mailbox or a street sign or a building or whatever it might be to see if you're moving relative to the foundation. Well, I was on a river. Everything is moving. So my nausea and my panic was lasting for quite some time. I had to look to the distant shore to see, is it getting bigger in my field of vision? Because if it is, then I know I'm moving. And then my mind and my body and all these things will be congruous, and everything will match up, and I'll be fine. So it took me a little longer, but there it was. I think that's a really nice picture of the culture we have now. We're no longer looking at fixed positions. Yes, things do move, and certain things in life are relative to other things, but there were once ideas of foundations, and now we are awash in the river. That's the culture. You've had to face it in your life already. In your young lives, you faced it, and you're going to face it more as it comes about. We are now in this post-truth culture where everything is shifting relative to everything else. We left dry land so long ago in this culture that we've got our sea legs now. And so when we find something solid, we stand on it, we get nauseous when there's stability. Now we've come to resent dry land. And it's caused this culture of confusion. Now, I'm a child of the 80s and none of you are. Some of you in the back definitely are. There was a song that was popular in the 80s called Land of Confusion by the band Genesis. And it was written, by the way, when there was a lot of confusion about what's going to happen in the world based on the Cold War, the USSR and the USA. We were worried that they were finally going to nuke each other or do whatever, and a lot of children were waking up in the middle of the night screaming. They called it Cold War neurosis, where kids were just convinced it was the end. And the song was written, and the words were there. Oh, Superman, where are you now? When everything's gone wrong somehow, these men of steel, these men of power are losing control by the hour. That could be written today. It could be in a post-truth culture. That's why Oxford English Dictionary is named as its 2016 Word of the Year. Post-truth. Every year it names a word of the year, and in 2016 the word was post-truth. In other words, the word of the year from Oxford Dictionaries captures the ethos, the pathos, the things that are fascinating to the Western culture. And a post-truth culture is what we are currently in. What does that mean? A post-truth culture simply is this. It's a culture that elevates personal feelings and preferences above facts and truth. You elevate personal feelings above facts and truth. That's a post-truth culture. Now, that's different than a postmodern culture. And my guess is you've probably already addressed some of the postmodern issues. You know, the idea that truth is relative, or truth is all subjective. What's true for you is true for you. What's true for me is true for me. And don't try to foist your truth on me, because that's a power move. There are no objective truths. That's postmodern. We are done with postmodernism, largely. It has reared its ugly head once in a while, but it is now largely gone. The reason is because you could actually reason with someone in a postmodern worldview. You can look at them and say, when you say there's no such thing as objective truth, my question for you, is that objectively true? and they see the self-defeating nature of their position. But a post-truth culture doesn't deny truth exists. Remember what it does. It elevates personal feelings and preferences above truth. So they don't say there is no truth. They say there is a truth, but I don't care. My feelings and my preferences matter more. How did we get here? How did we get to this position now? The world you're going to inherit as graduates is a post-truth culture that elevates feelings and preferences over facts and truth. And the reality is this has been coming for a long time. The post-truth seeds were planted in a garden, the very first garden, with our very first parents. When you think about the Adam and Eve story, and you go back and you look at it, and you think to yourself, if post-truth is a culture that elevates feelings and preferences over facts and truth, Adam and Eve were post-truth people. They walked and talked with God, the truth incarnate, the very source of all truth, in the cool of the day, Genesis says. And they lived with this one commandment: you shall not eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, for the day you eat of it you shall surely die. They lived with that commandment, that the fruit never tempted them. But along comes Satan, and he says to them, did God really say? And then he misquotes God. And then because the truth is not the most important thing to Adam and Eve, they misquote God back. And now Satan knows he has them, because the truth is not in them. Preferences matter more, and he says, God knows you won't die in the day you eat of this tree. God knows that you'll become like God, and there's the split. The truth was, Adam and Eve were made for relationship with God. That was their purpose, and that's your and my purpose. But they didn't want the truth of their purpose. They wanted their own purpose. They didn't want to be with God. They wanted to be God. And that is the hallmark, I think, of the human condition ever since. You know, Os Guinness has once said that you can gauge the health of a society by how it treats its chief virtues. And the chief virtue in the West has been freedom. We use this word freedom all the time. It's in our movies. We love the movies where we win freedom, whether it's The Patriot or Braveheart or Glory or any of these movies where freedom is won. We talk about it all the time. It's on all our coinage. It's on all these things. Freedom is this important virtue. We stopped talking about freedom quite some time ago, though. We use the word, but we misunderstood it. We go back to this human condition. We're not talking about freedom. We're talking about autonomy. What we want is not to be free to do the right thing. What we want is free to do whatever we want, whenever we want, however we want. That is freedom. That's not freedom. That's autonomy. Autonomy comes from two Greek words: autos, meaning self, and nomos, meaning law. When you are autonomous, you are a law unto yourself. Here's the problem with that. If I'm a law unto myself and you're a law unto yourself, and preferences matter more than truth, when your law and my law conflict in the global public square, what's going to happen? Truth won't be the determiner between the two of us. It won't be the truth because preferences matter more. My preference and your preference are going to conflict, and the thing that determines who's right and who's wrong or who's going to be victorious will not be the truth, it'll be power. So do you see the irony of it? In an autonomous culture where you're allowed to do and say and think and even be whatever you want, whenever you want, and someone else is too, when the conflict comes, you won't get freedom by being given whatever you want. You'll get enslavement because there'll be some Superman, some Superwoman, some man of steel, some man of power who will look to say, save us from the chaos. That's the world we're facing. But this quest for autonomy is not new. Adam and Eve wanted autonomy. Protagoras said centuries ago that man is the measure of all things because there is no God above us by which we judge our standards. Who measures those things? We determine what's right and wrong and what's true. And then you have secular people who are saying the same thing. Protagoras said it in very short and succinct. Man is the measure of all things. Tom Flynn, the secular humanist writer, takes a little bit longer to say the same thing. He says secular humanism maintains that through a process of value inquiry informed by scientific and reflective thought, human beings, men and women, can reach rough agreement concerning values, crafting ethical systems that deliver optimal results in a broad spectrum of circumstances. That is just a wordier version of man is the measure of all things. But did you hear what he said? Through scientific and reflective thought, men and women can reach rough agreement concerning values. And so the question we have to ask ourselves is, have we reached this rough agreement? Despite our genius and despite our ingenuity, have we reached this rough agreement? Or have we failed, fallen short of the mark? The reason why we failed and fallen short of the mark, friends, is because of this quest for autonomy. We can't come to this rough agreement because my opinion is different from yours, and there is no transcendent to guide us. What's happened is we've sacrificed truth and clarity on the altar of human autonomy. And when that happens, there are a couple of consequences I want to share with you. The first consequence, or at least one of the most important consequences, is this: when you sacrifice truth and clarity on the altar of your own human autonomy, and the world will want you to do this, and it'll encourage you to do this in whatever field you study, when this happens, you will lose your integrity. You will lose your integrity and your sense of human value. You will lose it. You know, if you go to the United Nations, the most popular attraction at the tour of the United Nations building is a mosaic. It's called the Golden Rule. And it's a stone mosaic based on a painting by Norman Rockwell. And this painting depicts beautifully, in not Rockwell's inimitable style, this beautiful, detailed thing where you have these people of different races, religions, and cultures all standing next to each other, talking and doing whatever they're doing. And inscribed in stone underneath it is the words, "Do unto others as you would have done unto you." It's called the Golden Rule Mosaic. It's the most popular attraction at the United Nations. Well, over time, that mosaic became cracked. How's that for poetic? And they needed to restore it, and then they did restore it. And then Jan Eliasson, the Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations, at the rededication ceremony, said something similar to this. He says, this monument, this mosaic of the Golden Rule, of doing unto others as you'd have done unto you, represents the very nature of our charter at the UN. It represents the way to bridge the world as it is and the world that we want it to be. That's poetic itself as well. We once had this sense of human integrity and human value. We once had this sense, but we forget who said those words, "Do unto others as you would have done unto you." Of course, it was Jesus in Matthew chapter 7. But we also see different versions of it. We see different versions of it. In fact, a gift to the United Nations from the Interfaith League was a poster, not nearly as grand as the mosaic, but it's still well-meaning poster of versions of the Golden Rule in other religious systems and even non-religious systems like Islam. Don't harm others so you will not be harmed. Hinduism, do not cause injury to someone in the way that you would want to avoid injury, and various means of this in different religious systems. And they're all speaking this idea of human dignity, human value, and integrity, but they're all subtly different from the way Jesus actually said it. We've gone very far from this idea of the Golden Rule, and now we've gone into a world of total polarization. I don't even call it polarization anymore, where you have people on this side and this side who are against each other. We're no longer engaged in polarization. We're engaged in what I call Hitlerization, where if someone does not agree with me, they're automatically Hitler, or Stalin, or Pol Pot. Pick your despot, that's who he is. Because they didn't have the, right morality to agree with me on whatever I happen to believe. If you're on the right, only the left tells lies. If you're on the left, only the right tells lies. If you're in the middle, the right and the left are always telling lies. That's where we are now, because we've lost our sense of integrity and our sense of human value. We're no longer interested, as Os Guinness says, in justice. We're interested in just us. And so when this happens, when our autonomies collide and truth is no longer the arbiter, what happens? Do we reach this rough agreement concerning values that Tom Flynn says? Or, as we've seen at the protests across universities around the world and around the country, or in other places where there's violence used to silence people, have we reached rough agreement, or have we simply agreed to be rough? Your generation is uniquely poised to turn the tide. We need you. My generation needs you. My kids, 13, 9, and 11. Not in that order. They need you. They need you. The world you inherit is going to be far different than the one my son, 5 years from now, will inherit. We need you to turn back the tide, to go away from autonomy and go back to freedom. Freedom and integrity. We need that back. Is there a way back? In the few minutes I have remaining, I want to share with you why I think there is a way back. There's a way back to true integrity, to understanding that statement in the Golden Rule, and why Jesus said it the exact way he said it. Not just that he said it, but the way he said it. Think about the words he used. He says, "Do unto others as you would have done unto you." Compare that with the way other systems of religion and non-religion actually say it. They don't say, "Do unto others as you'd have done unto you." They say, "Don't injure people so you aren't injured." Or, "Don't harm people because you don't want harm to be brought onto you." These kind of things, they're all defensive. They're all social contract. That's all Locke and Hobbes and Rousseau and all these boys talking about the ways we protect each other from eating each other, because inherently our own nature is to eat each other. If Jesus doesn't say it that way. He doesn't say it that way. He says, do unto others as you would have them do unto you, even if they never do unto you. He's saying, be vulnerable. So my first bit of advice to you is to be vulnerable in your strength. Do unto others even if they have no chance of doing unto you, even if they despitefully use you, as the Bible says. You see how unique the gospel message is that everyone else is interested in protection and Jesus is interested in provision? Over and over again. You can win back this sense of truth if you have the integrity. I remember not too long ago, a few years ago, Professor Chuck, I have calves as big as a watermelon white, was with me. I was put up to that, Chuck, by somebody else. We were in Dallas at an event where we were looking at the latest manuscript evidence that supports the veracity and the reliability of the scriptures. And there was a horrible ice storm that happened there, and we could not get out of Dallas no matter what we tried. So my wife and I and some friends ended up at the Dallas airport trying to rent a car so we could drive to Houston and get a plane out of there because I had another trip coming up that I couldn't be late for. And Chuck and Carol were there, and they said, hey, can we share this ride with you? The 6-hour drive overnight, 10 o'clock at night, going to get there at 4 o'clock in the morning. I said, absolutely, yes, please, let's do. So we go there, and if you know how car rental works, you go there and you have to pick a driver. Well, that was going to be me, because we had initially had the account, so it was going to be me. And I walked away, and I said to Chuck, I said, hey, this is going to be a long trip. Would you mind sharing the load and driving if I get tired? I probably won't, but if I do, would you mind sharing? He says, nope. I said, okay. He said, we didn't tell them that. We didn't agree to that. They usually ask for more money for an additional driver. You want to pay the extra money? I'm happy to share the load, absolutely. But this is a matter of integrity. No one would have found that out. No one would have known that. Integrity is doing the right thing when no one's looking. And Chuck White did that. My guess is there's quite a few Chuck Whites in your faculty and in your lives. And then I had the pleasure of sitting down to breakfast today with Abby, a graduate, and hearing her heart and hearing her story and what she wants to do with her life and how she wants to impact people and the things that the soccer team had done. When they win, they pray with the opposing team. When they lose, even to people who aren't the most savory people in the whole world, they pray with them. Integrity when no one's looking, and my guess is amongst these people in the blue, there's plenty of people, there's plenty of Abbeys here. I'm very encouraged that a post-truth culture is waiting for you, and they have no idea what they're going to be getting. You can have that integrity back. So the truth of the message of the gospel is measured by the integrity of the messenger. Integrity is the currency of truth, but courage is its backbone. You have to have that. You have to have that. So what I would say to you is this: you live an integrous life. But number two, you have to recapture what it means to have true freedom. And with this, I'll come and bring my remarks to an end. I travel all over the world, and I've been at major universities all over the place. University of Michigan, Michigan State, Yale, Berkeley, you name it. And they come out by the hundreds and by the thousands, and they're non-Christians, and they line up at the microphones to ask their questions, because I think that your generation is growing sick of a post-truth world. You see the chaos that this so-called autonomy that seems so alluring and so tempting, like a fruit, seems so tempting, and then you imbibe in it and you see, this is leaving me empty, this is not getting me anywhere. I don't want you to think about this. The things that you are able to see, these little machines we laughingly call phones, have more computing power in them than the first rockets that went to the moon. And it's allowed you to see and interact with people and see things you probably never should have seen in the first place, and be able to interact with people in ways you probably never should have interacted with them in the first place. Has your autonomy to do whatever you want, whenever you want, freed you? We've humanized these objects. We call them names now, like Siri and Alexa. We talk to them. We've humanized objects that we use to objectify humans. Autonomy always leads to slavery. The Bible does not stand for autonomy. It does stand for freedom. What is the difference? With this, I'll come to an end. Freedom is not the ability to do whatever you want, whenever you want, in whatever way you want, or be whatever you want. Freedom naturally has boundaries. It always has boundaries, always. My kids, when we first bought our house, we have a very big backyard, but it backs up to a main road. And that main road has cars whizzing by and trucks whizzing by all the time. When my kids were young, if they didn't have a boundary beyond which they could not play, they would have no freedom to enjoy the purpose of the backyard because the ball would bounce into the street and those kids would be killed. And they'd have no ability to be back there. But because there was a boundary beyond which they could not go, that gave them the freedom to enjoy the purpose of the backyard. Freedom and purpose are always mixed together. They are inseparable. Autonomy says there is no purpose but what you make. Freedom says there's an objective purpose given to you by the transcendent. You have to have that. Jesus' own words say it. In John chapter 8, verses 31 to 36, Jesus said to the Jews who had believed him, "If you abide in my word, you are truly my disciples, and you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." Did you catch it? Truth, freedom. Truth and freedom are always linked. They are inseparable. The culture says autonomy leads to freedom. Jesus says truth leads to freedom. They answered him, "We are offspring of Abraham and have never been enslaved to anyone. How is it you say you will become free?" That's a hysterical response. We are offspring of Abraham and have never been enslaved to anyone. Did you forget 400 years of captivity in Egypt? You literally celebrate your freedom from that every year at the Passover. Facts and truth don't matter as much as preferences, do they? And then Jesus answered them, "Truly, truly, I say to you, everyone who practices sin is a slave to sin. The slave does not remain in the house forever. The Son remains forever. So if the Son sets you free, you'll be free indeed." Did you see it again? Truth sets you free. The Son sets you free. The Son is the truth. I was at Yale University, and a young man asked me, "How is it that Jesus sets me free? How is he the truth that sets me free? Can you put all this together? Can you take the resurrection of Jesus and put it into this thing about me? How does it set me free? And lead to this true sense of freedom?" I said, "I'm so glad you asked, because here's the truth. The world tells you that you are almost godlike inside. You are autonomous. You can determine the truth for yourself. Jesus says you are made in God's image. And the truth is you are meant for relationship with him, but that relationship has been broken. And God himself stepped into humanity's history to die a death that humanity should have died, to pay a price that humanity should have paid, but in his mercy he pays it for us, and then he rises from the dead to prove he was right. People often ask me, why do you believe Jesus among everybody else who claims to have the truth? My answer is quite simple. He died and rose from the dead, and guys who rise from the dead tend to have credibility. So when I look at that historical reality, what is the truth he sets us free to know? That you are made indelibly, no matter what you believe, say, think, do, or act like. You are made in his image. So autonomy says, do whatever you want and whatever you want. Freedom says, you have the freedom to do what you want in accordance with what you should, based on the transcendent moral law, and based on what you are. And what you are, thank God, is not determined by any other human being. The world needs to know this. Jesus said he is the way, the truth, and the life, and he's the truth that sets us free. And for 2,000 years, we've elevated personal preferences over facts and truth. Do you see what happened? He says, I'm the way, the truth, and the life. And we said, I don't want you. I want my personal preferences to find fulfillment. And for 2,000 years, we've put our faith in things that are neither personal nor true. Nor true. And we see the emptiness that this brings. One last quotation from a secular source, from the Canadian band Crash Parallel. They have a song called Rain Delays. And it speaks, this secular group speaks so eloquently about how we try to fill our lives. And the world is going to want you to fill your life with success in career, with higher education, with more letters after your name, with more achievements, with more stuff, with more relationships, whatever it might be, more experiences, more gratifications. They're all going to be hollow. And this is what the band says in their song Rain Delays. Listen to the words. It's very important how the stuff doesn't fulfill. They even recognize it. Sleepless nights and endless days and miniskirts and serving trays, waking up from rain delays and selling sex for pocket change. Living off the alcohol with no one but a cab to call, lost inside a bathroom stall, this carbon copy life withdrawal. And driving cars we can't afford, making sure we're never bored, living off our own accord between coffee grinds and corner stores and limousines and cigarettes and chasing dreams with fishing nets and long weekends without regrets. Well, no one here is taking bets. I need someone to believe in, someone to fill this space with grace, to look into my eyes and touch my face, someone to make me strong, someone to make me belong, someone to make me alive. Stuff won't do it for you, and you're going to be tempted, and the post-truth world is coming after you. I'm so glad to see and hear the statements that I heard today from students. The world's going to try to get you. And in some ways, I feel sorry for the world because they got you coming. But the seductions are there. Don't fill your life up, and don't let anybody else fill their life up with stuff that only leaves them hollow. For 2,000 years, we've been trying to fill our lives with things that are neither true nor personal. But in a post-truth world that elevates the personal over the truth, you can offer them Christ in your life through your integrity, through the way you live your life, through the passion you have. Because in a world that wants personal over truth, you can offer them Christ, in whom the truth was a person. Thank you so much for the honor of addressing you. May you go out there and change the world. God bless you.
Thank you, Dr. Murray, for reminding us of the opportunity that we have to engage our world and make a difference, to bring a message that is unique and different. We are created in the image of God, all of us, Romans 3:23, all of us have failed and fallen short of that glory. But God has provided a unique path that is open to all through the sacrifice of his Son. And may that be the truth that allows us to engage our world, to offer redemption and reconciliation, to be critical participants. I'd like to invite Dr. Kimberly Rupert, our Provost and Chief Academic Officer, to now join me and assist in the presentation of our graduates.
Thank you. President Ellis, on behalf of the faculty, it is my pleasure to present these students who qualify for graduation with their respective degrees. The faculty and the Board of Trustees have approved that each of these students, upon verification of the completion of all requirements, be awarded the appropriate academic degree. Will all of the candidates for graduation please stand?
By the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of Spring Arbor University and under the laws of this great state of Michigan, I confer upon you the appropriate degree with all the rights, privileges, and obligations pertaining thereto.
We will now present individually the members of the graduating class to receive their respective degrees. Specific honors earned by each student will be read aloud and are listed in the graduation program. The gold stoles that graduates are wearing signify those who have earned academic honors. Graduates, please be seated. Faculty marshals will lead you row by row to the platform. Audience, as the graduates' names are read for presentation of degrees, you will have several opportunities to acknowledge them. First, as you applaud your special graduate, we ask that you keep your celebration brief, okay, to allow the name of the next graduate to be heard when it is announced. At various times, we will pause and ask you to join in applause for our graduates.
We begin with those who have earned a Bachelor of Arts from the School of Arts and Sciences, from the Department of Art with an art major. Megan E. Beck. Casey J. Bedgood. Stephanie M. Borima. Brooke G. Geck. Nicholas T. Hernandez. Megan J. Heimbrook. Bethany A. Iverson. Faith M. Johnson. Courtney P. Kaiser. Jacqueline A. Martin. Melissa S. Myers. Joshua M. Norton. Courtney F. Rixey. Michaela S. Wilson. Monica N. Wynn. Jonathan F. Charles. Jordan N. Geikema. Austin J. Lewandowski. Caitlin R. Lewis. Samuel A. Mamilar. Alyssa J. Molina, summa cum laude. Kaylee N. Tassino. All of those graduates were from the Department of Biology and Chemistry with a biology major. With a biology major graduate school prep, Justina M. Peterson. With a biology health careers major, Marcus D. Charlick. Bethany E. Kenzer. Christopher J. Matthews. With a chemistry major, Logan A. Robart, summa cum laude. Brooke T. Shadley, cum laude. Andrea M. Sturgis, magna cum laude. With an environmental biology major, Luke E. Siefken. Graduating from the Department of Communication and Media with an advertising and public relations major, Caleb B. Carson, cum laude. Caitlin L. Markin, magna cum laude. Leah M. Rose, cum laude. Kayla M. Williamson, summa cum laude. With a broadcasting major, Nathaniel J. Peisklo. With a communication major, Lauren N. Brandt. Sarah L. Butchin. Heather L. Clark, summa cum laude. Spencer K. Crow. Austin J. Edmiston. Casey L. Hansen, cum laude. Alexandria E. Hill, summa cum laude. W. Cody Pitts. Hannah M. Shemanek, cum laude. Trevor J. Tarantowski, summa cum laude. With a digital media video film major, Brianna M. Buller, cum laude. With a drama major, Jacob N. Kittle. Alicia A. Prantera. With a visual communications major, Alexis M. Christie, cum laude. Matthew S. Harrington. Camille E. Hunter, magna cum laude. Graduating from the Department of English with an English major, Samantha M. Casey. Molly K. Faulkner, summa cum laude. Sarah A. Plunder, secondary education. Rebecca K. Konert. April L. Crott, cum laude. Dane C. Parsons. Hannah N. Ziegler. With an English writing major, Jerika K. Palmer. With a language arts major, Joshua D. Prantera, elementary ed. Let's take a moment to honor those graduates. Graduating from the Department of Health, Human Performance and Recreation with a Health and Exercise Science major, Holly A. Bricker. Kelsey B. Brown. John T. Driscoll. Ruben D. French, magna cum laude. Gabrielle N. Hilliard, cum laude. Louis Jones. Nicholas S. Lorenzen. Renee L. Olson. Alicia G. Schmittendorf. Leslie L. Tanis, summa cum laude. With an individualized major, Ashley A. Kreiderman. Keenan R. Swihart. Graduating from the Department of History, Geography, Politics with a history major, Zachary V. Yost, cum laude. Graduating with a political economy major, Michaela J. Unanian. With a social studies major, Julian Boaz Gillette. Magna cum laude, secondary education. Mariah L. Kapp, secondary education. Tyler P. Reed, elementary education. Brianna M. Vanderhill, summa cum laude, secondary education. Yeah. Graduating from the Department of Mathematics, Computer Science, Physics, with a computer science major, Stephen J. Gabriel, summa cum laude. Caleb M. Gwinner. Noah A. Hattrick. With a mathematics major, Kara I. Liskey, cum laude, secondary education. Hi, Gabriella O. Persing, secondary education. With a physics math pre-engineering major, Nathan D. Anderson. Graduating from the Department of Music with a music major, Hank E. Bunting, cum laude. With a music education major, Jessica N. Gibson, secondary education. With a worship arts major, Rebecca C. Gley. Kelsey M. Brookema. Let's honor those graduates. From the Department of Psychology with a psychology major, Corey G. Buckner. Sarah E. Dean, magna cum laude. Sierra D. Flint. Travis S. Kapp. Sophia R. Kinyard. Ethan C. Lawton. Miranda C. Morgan. Lily S. O'Connor. Michaela R. Rapp. Cecilia J. Said, summa cum laude. Mariah L. Sarley. Benjamin H. Shaw, magna cum laude. Joshua D. Underwood. Shannon M. Wagner. Melissa J. Wessling, cum laude. Jessica K. West. Graduating from the Department of Sociology with a criminal justice major, Jashay C. Castro Johnson. Gabrielle V.R. Freeman. Alexis N. Horn. Jordan T. Longenbarger. Jeremiah P. Mansfield. Matthew R. Plementosh. Ashley N. Timmons. Joel E. Van Allen, cum laude. With a Global Studies major, Julie D. Loudon, magna cum laude. Alex A. Rodriguez. Rachel D. Schinnebarger. Elise M. Underwood, cum laude. Graduating with a sociology major, Timothy L. Babcock. Elizabeth V. Carlson. Abigail J. Chodnovsky. Ina S. Correll, summa cum laude. Corey A. Emlet, cum laude. Kelsey N. Olivo. Laura J. Riddle. Caitlin B. Schatz. Jocelyn R. West. Let's honor those graduates. Now graduating from the Department of Theology with a Biblical Studies major, Madison N. Bridges, summa cum laude. Catherine R. Hamlin, magna cum laude. Luke T. W. Human. Ryan R. Segrist, cum laude. With a camping ministry major, Christian M. Dean, magna cum laude. Big Alex J. Strickler. With a children's ministry major, Abigail S. Kittle. Rebecca J. Miller, cum laude. With an individualized major, Alec D. Cross, cum laude. With a pastoral ministry major, James D. Hall, magna cum laude. Cody M. Johnson. Derek J. Labby. Lucas D. Rahill. With a theological studies major, Zachary Bunzelar. Andrew S. Bridgman, magna cum laude. With an urban ministry major, Michaela M. Culhane. With a worship ministry major, Melanie L. Draves, summa cum laude. With a youth ministry major, Chase R. Bartels, magna cum laude. Quinn A. Colvin. Miranda E. Davis. Nicholas E. Lemerand. Madeline M. Marr. Lucas Powell. Jessica M. Price. Shoshana M. Smith. Neil L. Warren, summa cum laude. Graduating from the Department of World Languages with a Spanish major, Catherine E. Clugston, summa cum laude, elementary education. From the School of Human Services in the Department of Social Work, graduating with a social work major, Rachel A. Alexander. Victoria G. Bauman. Renee E. Brookhuizen, cum laude. Rachel E. Broman, summa cum laude. Bailey M. Clark, summa cum laude. Shauna N. Eversole. Summer F. Frederick, magna cum laude. Shelby E. Getzinger. Victoria E. Harper, magna cum laude. McKay E. Heasley, cum laude. Kelly Hoffius, cum laude. Allie M. Jackson. Rachel L. Johnson. Kara E. Kolaga, magna cum laude. Janiyah J. Lane. Michaela A. Lewis. Brianna C. Lender, cum laude. Larissa K. Matthijs, cum laude. Alexa M. Morton. Micah A. Ritter, magna cum laude. Alyssa J. Reilly, summa cum laude. Rachel A. Sparks. Jenna L. Speck, cum laude. Kimber N. Stanley, summa cum laude. Lauren A. Steers, cum laude. Alan T. Zenz. Let's honor those graduates. Graduating from the Gainey School of Business, from the Department of Accounting with an accounting major, Brianna R. Eierman. Francisco A. Ondina. Bailey A. Russell, cum laude. Shelby A. Sutphin. Graduating with an accounting CPA major, Aubrey J. Harima, magna cum laude. Jennifer L. Iverson, summa cum laude. Brant E. Klassen. Olivia E. Landis, cum laude. Connor W. Lengerich. Zachary T. Medendorp. Alyssa T. Oliver. Daniel J. Palka, summa cum laude. From the Department of Business with a Business Administration major, Allison E. Bell. Elizabeth A. Buckland. Autumn E. Goggin, summa cum laude. Thomas C. Hall. Brandon R. Hawks. Kara L. Hoffman. Megan R. Mayfield. Anthony J. Moore. Yeah. Christopher M. Myers. Lydia L. Palmatier, cum laude. Mitchell G. Simon. With an individualized major, Amelia S. Yako. With a Management Information Systems major, Andrew W. DePoy. From the Department of Finance with a Finance major, Colin R. Henry. Caleb H. Moore. Corey P. Swartzendruber. From the Department of International Business with an International Business major, Kaylee A. Bone. Sasha S. Wilson. From the Department of Marketing with a marketing major, Abby L. Fuller, summa cum laude. Will L. Sanders, cum laude. Autumn N. Sharp, summa cum laude. Jacob M. Sterling. Joy E. Bosla, cum laude. Yeah. Sarah R. Kunrad. Stacy M. Creighton, cum laude. Lauren E. Henry, summa cum laude. Kristen E. June. Taylor M. Katsaros, summa cum laude. Yeah, Taylor. Lacey L. Salter. Morgan E. Zool. With an early childhood education non-teaching major, Heather R. Charette. With an elementary education major, Leah E. Bontrager. Magna cum laude, excuse me. Rebecca J. Byers, magna cum laude. Caitlin E. Clanton, magna cum laude. Hennessy J. Coons, summa cum laude. Jessica J. Donahue, summa cum laude. Bronwyn L. Gilmore. Shay L. Leibensparger, summa cum laude. Shuan Rosa Maury, summa cum laude.
Yes.
Catherine M. Tasma, magna cum laude. With a special education major, Caitlin M. Mapes. Olivia R. Olmsted, cum laude. Grace E. Sowers. Kara M. Slater. Kayla L. Wilson. Let's honor all of these grads.
On behalf of the Office of Alumni Relations, the Alumni Board of Directors, and the tens of thousands of alumni across the globe, it's my honor to officially welcome you into the Spring Arbor University alumni family. My name is Steve Castle, and I have the privilege of serving as the Director of Alumni Relations here at Spring Arbor University. I've also been blessed to be shaped in profound ways by the faculty, staff, and other students while completing my undergraduate and master's degrees here at SAU. As Spring Arbor University alumni, we're all part of something much bigger than ourselves. We share in the heritage of world changers and kingdom shapers that spans back to 1873. And although your time as a student is now complete, know that we still desire to pour into you as you continue living out the unique calling God has placed within you. Continue to utilize the Spring Arbor University faculty, offices, and alumni network. And now that you're on the other side, use your unique skills, passions, and expertise to pour back into the next generation of students, whether that's through serving on the alumni board, being a mentor for students, or fostering internship opportunities at your place of employment. Congratulations on this wonderful accomplishment. We're proud of you, thankful for you, and look forward to continually growing together. Congratulations.
Thank you, Steve, and welcome to you, our alumni. It's a wonderful day to celebrate your accomplishments, and I know graduates, you have some special people that are here that you probably would like to thank as well. So just take a moment, stand up, find them, and say thank you real quick. And now, as we bring this ceremony to a close with prayer, we will proceed immediately with the recessional. Graduates, faculty, and other participants will recess outside, and you are welcome to greet them there. Dr. Bruce Brown, professor of music, will come forward to pray, and we ask that you would stand for his benediction, and then please be seated for the remainder of the recessional.
Gentlemen, please remove your hats for prayer. Dear Lord, great God of the universe, Lord of love, Abba, Father, we thank you for this day. Most of all, we thank you for each of these young people that are embarking on a new chapter of their life. And we just pray that you would bless them, you would dwell richly with them, that you would reveal yourself to them, that you would surround them with your love, that you would move them into the great purpose and future that you have for each one. And most of all, that you would just redeem us, all of us, bless us, encourage us. We ask all this humbly in your name. Amen.